Bach was arrested. Yes, Bach in jail. Why? Because he found a better job. You can't say he committed a crime. The year was 1717. Bach was 32 years old, married with 5 children and another one on the way. He had a good job, but his boss was the problem. Bach worked for Duke Wilhelm Ernst of Weimar, a rigid, strict authority figure with a volatile temper. Bach taught music, composed, played music in the court, and viola in the orchestra. Playing in the orchestra, that made him a servant. Duke expected absolute obedience from them. Both Duke Ernst and Bach were pig-headed men. Bach had lofty musical ideas, but the Duke was old-fashioned. He put limits on the kind of music Bach could write. That left Bach stifled. He desired artistic freedom. Bach studied Italian trends that was forbidden. He longed to travel, but it was denied. In 1716, a chance meeting at a wedding, Bach met the young, wealthy Prince Leopold of Curtin, a true lover of music. 18 months later, the prince approached Bach. Work for me, better musicians, more time to compose, better pay, a 60% raise. Bach accepted. Then he told the Duke. Oh, the Duke was furious. No servant could act without his approval. He ordered Bach to be jailed. Court records show, quoting, on November 6, Bach was confined for his stubbornness and released on December 2nd. Then the Duke relented and allowed Bach to leave. Here comes the best part. With a family of 7 at home, suddenly Bach had time to compose in jail. And compose he did. He began working on the Well-Tempered Clavier. It is one of Baroque's most important works. Every serious pianist studies and performs those pieces. They are the backbone of piano literature. Bach may have been locked up, but when those doors opened, he stepped into a life far bigger than the one he'd left behind. If Bach was the greatest composer ever, why is it so rare to hear his music in concert halls today? Because Bach didn't write for the modern orchestra. He wrote for a different musical world. His world was mostly the church and the court. His music was for the sacred and divine. That's part of the reason we don't hear his music, but there's more. Bach's world had no modern violins, no modern flutes, no giant string sections, no trombones, tubas, or trumpets with valves. Instruments have changed. In today's orchestras, violins have become louder and more projecting. Flutes today are made out of metal rather than wood. Wood instruments are softer. Trumpets with valves can play in any key. Bach's music was built for small, agile Baroque groups. His orchestras had 10 to 20 players, not 80 like modern orchestras today. That's why Bach lives mostly in chamber groups and with early music ensembles and solo recitals. It's not that his music is less popular, but because it's too perfect for the wrong tools. I'm David Ott, inviting you to join me again for great stories about music and history on YouTube, learnSRSA. So yes, Bach may be the greatest composer of all times, but his music wasn't made for today's orchestra. It was made for eternity.